Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm gonna make some meatloaf with mashed potatoes and green beans for dinner, and there's also gonna be some cucumber salad that I made earlier. What I'm trying to do today is use up some old hamburger patties that was in my freezer. So you can start with fresh ground beef. I have a pound and a half here. You can chop up some old bread, crumble them up, chop them up into small squares, or do what I do, which is using breadcrumbs, because to me that's just more convenient and I don't have any bread to really get rid of. So I'm gonna take a cup of this at least, and this is just eyeballing it. The more bread you put in there, the more you're gonna get out of it. So if you have less meat, you may want to put more breadcrumbs or bread into it. And what I do is, if I have dry bread or breadcrumbs, I put just a tablespoon or so cream and mix this up. Just the breadcrumb, because this will soften up my breadcrumbs and they're not going to be any dried pieces in the meatloaf as it cooks. There will be some other liquids in here like ketchup, but this seems to be the best way to get it started for the bread. So from here on, I will be putting ketchup. I would say about 2-3 tablespoons of ketchup. And again, that depends on how much bread you put in here, because if you put too much ketchup, it's gonna be too tomatoey, and also it's gonna be too soft, right, for it to take shape. Now the essentials will be garlic powder, or you can do fresh garlic, a couple of cloves. I'll put in about a tablespoon of garlic, yeah, a lot. Also the same with onion powder. You can use fresh onion. I would always saute the onion first before putting it in here. I would not put raw onion in here. So a tablespoon of that or so. And it's all about taste, right? How do you like your meatloaf? And I always put paprika in it. This is optional, but about a teaspoon. It just gives it a nice color at the end. And it is adding to the taste. Lots of ground pepper. Probably about a teaspoon. Yeah, that much. And if you have something where your meat is very lean, I also like to add some bacon grease that I save. So about a tablespoon of bacon grease right in there. And of course salt. For this amount of meat, I'm gonna put in 2 pinches of salt. And now all this can be mixed. And I'm just gonna get in with my hands. And my oven is already heated because I was making a pie earlier, but heat your oven to 350. And you can actually have this mixed and put it in the fridge and let it stand a little bit, especially if you're using some big dry breadcrumbs or bread pieces, where you want them to kind of soak in this juiciness. But the main thing is really to mix it up real well. You should not be seeing any speckles of spice, salt, or ketchup or bread. And then when you think you're done, mix it a little more. Because the last thing you want to see is when you're cutting your meatloaf, you're serving it, that you have speckles of something in there. Okay, I prepared a loaf pan with parchment paper just on the bottom, just a long strip. It will let me remove it much easier. It tends to stick on the bottom, not on the side. So shape it into a loaf, push it into your pan evenly, because you want it to cook evenly. And try not to mess up the pan too much, because then you're gonna have to scrub your pan that much more. Okay, so I'm gonna bake this in 350 for 45 minutes. While I am waiting for the meatloaf to bake, I can start preparing my potatoes for cooking. I have a cooking pot here. I got 5 potatoes. Some of them are getting bad, so I'm sure I'm going to be cutting out some pieces. But for now, I'm just going to peel them. Then I'll wash them. Then I'm going to cut them into chunks. And since it's going to be potato smashed anyway, doesn't matter what size you cut it. The smaller it is, it's easier to cook, faster to cook, and easier to rice, because that's what I'm going to do. Just make them approximately the same size so they cook at the same time. And I'm gonna pour water on it so it will be covered, because I'm not gonna cook it yet. I don't want to cook it too early, because then it's just gonna get cold, right? So this will be ready for cooking. It will take probably 20 minutes to cook it, and then 5 minutes to smash it. So based on that, I'm gonna look at my timer and coordinate the timing when my meatloaf is almost ready. In the other pot, I'm gonna start my green beans. Remember from the other day that I harvested my green beans and put them into this container. Now you can leave the green beans whole and steam them that way, but my family prefers to have them cut, so I just pile up a bunch and cut them evenly into bite-sized pieces. And these were already washed and dried before I put them into the fridge, so there's no need to wash them again. into this pot, I'm gonna put a little salt, a pinch of salt, and by the way, I'm gonna do that for the potatoes too. Pinch of salt. And I'm using up my preserved garlic. It's preserved in olive oil and it's been in the fridge since I harvested. So I have 4 cloves of garlic. If you have fresh garlic, you just press them into this. And then put about a tablespoon of olive oil with that. So I'm gonna press these garlic cloves. If you don't have fresh garlic or any kind of garlic, then you can use powdered garlic or no garlic at all. And here's my oil that came out of the garlic jar. And then what you want to do is put in about 2 tablespoons of water because we will be steaming this. And again, I'm not going to cook this until the meatloaf is almost ready. This will take about 10 minutes to steam. So both of these will get a lid while I'm cooking. Okay, so we are at the point where the potatoes are cooked. I'll just drain them. And the green beans are done too. To finish the green beans, I'm gonna put a little bit of ground black pepper, and you can also put some chili flakes in here if you want it spicy. So you can see that it's a little oily, and then the garlic has roasted in there, and the green beans roasted a little bit too. And I cooked the whole entire time. I cooked it under the lid, and I cooked it about 15 minutes. That's what that looks like. So that's ready to go. So for the potato, now that it drained, I'm gonna rice it back into the original pot. So here's my riced potatoes, and I made enough for at least 4 servings because definitely my meatloaf is gonna give us just as much. So I'm gonna put in a big tablespoon of sour cream into my potatoes and a couple of tablespoons of butter and a pinch of salt again, and then make sure that it gets mixed up. So the butter needs to melt into it. It's still hot, so it will. While that's doing its thing, I'm gonna go and get the meatloaf out of the oven. So yeah, there's a lot of grease, so I'm gonna take it out of the pan. And recall, we put some bacon fat in there, so that kept it nice and juicy. So now it's done with that, so I'm gonna lift it out of the grease and let that cool off before I slice it for about 5 minutes at least, because at this point it might just crumble up. Here is a serving of the meatloaf. As you can see, it's nice and crusty, well done, yet it's very moist. And that's because I did put the bacon grease in there and also the ketchup and a little bit of the cream, so it didn't dry out. And there's my mashed potatoes with the butter and sour cream mixed into it. And then I have my green beans, homegrown green beans with garlic, a little bit of olive oil, pepper and salt, and of course cucumber salad, which I've done many times, and feel free to look for the recipe up there. Adjust the recipe to your needs, because I used a 1.5 pound meat, but obviously you can make less or more, and adjust the seasoning to your liking. I hope you enjoyed this process, and I'll see you next time.